Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're really zeroing in on something I think is super important for city leaders and police chiefs. We're going to talk about how we can actually use software, cutting-edge software, to make our cities safer. And the thing we're talking about today is the Simsi Suite. Have
Interesting.
you heard of this?
I have.
Okay, cool. So for our listeners who maybe haven't, the Simsi Suite is a platform that helps us really get down into understanding and then addressing the root causes of crime.
And I think one of the most interesting things about the Simsi Suite is its emphasis on collaboration.
Oh, interesting.
It brings together all the different stakeholders in public safety.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the police, city officials, community groups, all the different folks that have a role to play.
So it's not just the police.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of like, I imagine like a team of detectives, but instead of just solving a single case, they're looking at the bigger picture,
That's a great analogy.
trying to figure out the why and the where.
Absolutely. And that's where something called risk terrain modeling comes in, which is a core part of the Simsi Suite.
Okay.
And it helps us analyze crime patterns, but it goes beyond just looking at where crimes have occurred. It tries to understand the why, what are the environmental factors that are contributing to these patterns.
So instead of just reacting to crime, you're getting ahead of it.
Precisely.
That's pretty incredible.
Yep.
Can you give us maybe like a specific example of how that might work in practice?
Sure. Let's imagine, a city that's struggling with a lot of burglaries in a particular neighborhood.
Okay.
So traditionally, you might just increase police patrols in that area,
Right.
but that may not be the most effective solution, right?
Yeah.
So Simsi can help us analyze the data, look at all the different factors, and identify those very specific things that are contributing to the problem.
It's like a doctor diagnosing an illness.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
You're not just treating the symptoms, you're trying to figure out the underlying cause so you can actually give them the right treatment.
Exactly. So, for example, Simsi might discover that the burglaries are happening more often near vacant properties. And that insight, that knowledge, allows us to develop targeted interventions. So we might focus on code enforcement for those vacant properties.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or invest in improved street lighting.
So you're not just throwing resources at the problem.
Exactly.
You're using data to pinpoint the most effective solutions.
Precisely. And the beauty of the Simsi Suite is that it's not just theoretical.
Yeah.
We have real-world examples of cities that have used this approach and seen remarkable results.
Okay, right.
So, for instance, Kansas City saw a 22% reduction in gun violence after implementing Simsi.
A 22% reduction, that's huge.
It is.
Do you have any other examples of cities that have had success with Simsi?
Yeah, absolutely. Atlantic City saw an even more dramatic reduction, a 63% drop in robberies after using Simsi.
Wow, 63%.
Yep.
That's incredible.
And it's not just about crime reduction. It's also about cost savings, right?
So by preventing the crime, you're reducing the strain on all these other resources.
Exactly.
The police resources,
Yeah.
emergency services, even the healthcare system.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone.
So I'm assuming the Simsi Suite isn't just for police departments.
Right. It's not just for police departments.
There are applications for other city departments.
Absolutely. Community organizations.
So you could use it for things like, you said, code enforcement,
Yeah.
community outreach, maybe even like, those group violence intervention programs.
Precisely.
Okay.
The idea is to bring all the stakeholders together,
Yeah.
unify the city's approach to public safety.
It's like an orchestra conductor,
I like that.
bringing all these different instruments together to make this harmonious sound.
I love that analogy.
So we've talked about how Simsi can help cities understand the why and the where of crime.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to, these targeted interventions. But how does that data actually turn into action?
That's where something called Action Hub comes in,
Okay.
which is a key component of the Simsi Suite.
Uh-huh.
An Action Hub helps translate that data analysis into very concrete action plans.
So it's kind of like this roadmap, this strategic roadmap,
Exactly.
guiding you on how to address those specific risk factors that Simsi has identified.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how technology can help us solve these really complex problems.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does take the guesswork out of crime prevention,
Yeah.
Think of it like, a GPS system.
Oh, okay.
for public safety,
Yeah.
guiding city leaders, police chiefs
Okay.
toward the most effective strategies.
And Action Hub, I understand, even includes this thing called the Strategy Library,
Hey.
which is basically like a collection of, best practices, successful programs from other cities that have already used the Simsi Suite.
Exactly.
So it's almost like a cheat sheet for success,
Jeez,
because you can kind of see what worked in other places.
Exactly. The strategy library allows cities to learn from each other,
Yeah.
to adapt proven strategies to their own, specific needs and challenges.
So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, not at all.
Okay.
SimSi provides that framework, the tools,
Right.
but each city can tailor its approach
Yeah.
based on its own circumstances and the insights it gets from its own data.
So this brings us to another important part of the Simsi Suite that I wanted to ask you about,
Okay.
which is Simsi Mobile. Tell me about that.
So SimSi Mobile takes all of that powerful data analysis
Okay.
and puts it directly into the hands of the people on the ground.
Okay.
Your police officers, your
Yeah.
code enforcement officers,
Right.
your community outreach workers,
Right.
anyone involved in those public safety efforts.
So they have access to real-time data
Yes.
and risk assessments,
Yes.
like right at their fingertips,
Right there on their phone or tablet.
out in the field where they're actually working.
Exactly. Which is incredibly valuable for, making decisions on the fly and,
Yeah.
allocating resources more effectively.
I mean, that's got to be super valuable to be able to just make these decisions on the spot.
Absolutely.
Informed by the data. It seems like the Simsi Suite is a really comprehensive approach to public safety.
I think so.
You've got the data analysis, strategic planning, on-the-ground action, everything.
It really brings it all together.
So what are some of the biggest benefits that you've seen for cities that has implemented this technology?
Well, one of the biggest is this shift
Right.
from a reactive to a proactive approach to public safety.
Oh, okay.
So instead of just responding to crime after it happens, cities can now use SimSi to actually identify and address the underlying conditions that contribute to crime in the first place.
So it's almost like preventing the fire instead of just putting it out after it's already started?
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, and because SimSi is data-driven,
Yeah.
it also brings this new level of transparency and accountability
Yeah.
to public safety efforts.
Yeah.
City leaders can now track progress,
Okay.
measure the effectiveness of their interventions,
Yeah.
and demonstrate to the community that they're taking a smart, strategic approach to these challenges.
Right. So instead of just kind of going with your gut or using, anecdotal evidence,
Right.
you've got hard data to back up your decisions.
Exactly.
Show the actual impact of your actions.
Right. And that data-driven approach can also help to build trust
Okay.
between law enforcement and the communities they serve. When people can see that those decisions are being made based on evidence and analysis,
Right.
it helps foster that sense of fairness and legitimacy.
I mean, that's a really important point.
It is.
Building that trust, that collaboration
Absolutely.
between communities and law enforcement.
Yes.
I mean, that's so essential for actually creating these safer, more resilient cities.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like the Simsi Suite can be a really powerful tool for helping facilitate that.
It can, by bringing everyone to the table.
Yeah.
City leaders, police, community groups, residents,
Well,
everyone.
right.
It creates this platform for open dialogue,
Right.
shared understanding,
Okay.
and collective action.
So it's about breaking down those silos
Yes.
and recognizing that public safety really is a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play
We do.
in making our cities safer places to live.
It seems like the Simsi Suite is really more than just, a software program. It's like this catalyst for positive change, within cities.
Yeah, it really is about empowering cities,
Uh-huh.
giving them that knowledge, those tools.
Yeah. To create safer, more vibrant environments for everyone.
So we've been talking about, the benefits of the Simsi Suite for city leaders and police chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
But how does this technology benefit, the average citizen?
Well, at the end of the day, the Simsi Suite helps create safer communities.
Okay.
By addressing those root causes of crime,
Right.
it just leads to a better quality of life for everyone.
Right.
When crime rates go down, people just feel safer, more secure
Yeah.
in their neighborhoods, and they're more likely to, engage in community activities, support local businesses.
Like this ripple effect.
Exactly.
Safer streets lead to stronger communities,
Exactly.
which lead to a more thriving city overall.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And, by fostering that collaboration between city government, law enforcement, community members,
Yeah.
you build trust, you build a sense of shared responsibility for public safety.
So it's more than just reducing crime. It's about creating a more connected, more engaged community.
Absolutely. And that's why I truly believe that, the Simsi Suite has this potential to be really transformative
Uh-huh.
for cities of all sizes. It's not just a Band-Aid. It's a
Oh.
long-term investment in building these safer, more resilient communities.
It's about, moving beyond those traditional reactive approaches to crime,
Right.
embracing something that's more holistic, more proactive.
Absolutely. A vision of public safety.
Yeah. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
Yeah. I mean, if we can kind of bring this back to the listener for a second,
Yeah.
how could the Simsi Suite help, your city
Yeah.
address your specific public safety challenges?
That's a great question to consider. And if you are interested in learning more about the Simsi Suite
Yeah.
and how it can benefit your community, we really encourage you to check out their website.
Absolutely. You'll find tons of information there.
Case studies, research articles, even a blog
Yeah.
with insights from, the experts in the field.
Knowledge is power.
That's right.
And the Simsi Suite puts that power into the hands of, the people who are out there
Yeah.
working so hard to make our cities safer.